You know, a lot of times when reports come out, it's you get glassy eyes, it's just a lot of data. But I will tell you, I saw this report from the United Way of Connecticut, and I had to do a double take. It sheds a grim light on the financial crisis and hardships faced by households across the state. I'm not just talking about people living in the streets here or the unemployed. This ALICE report, as it's called, which ALICE is an acronym for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed, shows that many families, right now families that you and I know here, they are struggling to afford living expenses that exceed the official poverty level despite the fact that the adults in the home are both employed. Now, I spoke with the United Way CEO Kim Morgan about this report and its importance. Kim, obviously, this isn't just a Connecticut story. This applies, but this is where your focus was. For people, and we gave the acronym again, but give an idea what ALICE, the population that it really identifies and profiles in this report.
Yeah, one of the reasons we felt this report was so important is because of who ALICE is. It's your child care worker that you dropped your children off this morning to school to. It's your home health aide that's coming into your home and caring for your aging parent or working in the nursing homes. It is the person that's at every entry-level position. And it's over 35% of the total population in Connecticut is at that threshold or below. That's pretty significant.
The math, you need 65 grand roughly if you're a family of four. And I know you have one that's a kid, I think, in kindergarten or nursery school and another infant at home. Otherwise, you're not keeping up. And as people know, the vast majority of jobs pay much under that. You almost need two parents working. Then all the attendant costs that you mentioned, you got to get child care, you've got to figure out transportation, you got to do all those other things. And that also increases the threat of one thread of that safety net gets pulled, you got problems. So just from a dollars and cents standpoint, it surprised me at least. That's how much it costs to stay above the poverty level.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of money to many. But when you think, that just puts you at your survival budget. And when you look at the cost of daycare and the cost of housing, it's over 50% of their income oftentimes. So it's very significant. And this is the area I think that most people can relate to, because you know your car breaks down, your health goes bad, you get laid off from your job, the hours change, something happens. Everybody has those things happen on a regular basis in our families. But for that to be the tipping point is so unbelievable for many, that one thing can be just enough to put them into a spiral. You know, I've been talking about this for a couple months out in companies and in different venues, and every time I talk about it, someone comes up and says, "Thank you for talking about it. I'm Alice. My family is Alice. I thought I was alone. I didn't realize there were others out there that were just on that fringe, and it looks like we're making a lot, and we're just not able to make it."
And when you rely on two incomes, it's real easy that all of a sudden one of the two jobs disappears, or somebody goes from full-time to part-time. All of a sudden the health benefits that were for that one job now disappear into part-time. Are those kind of some of the stories you're hearing too, that there just doesn't seem to be any breathing room?
Yeah, there's no breathing room, and we're hearing about how, as we recover with the economy, the jobs that were there aren't. So people are putting together multiple jobs. They're going to jobs that are paying much less than they were making before. We know that over 50% of the jobs in Connecticut pay under $20 an hour. It's hard to get by on that. You need a family of four needs about $33, $34 an hour average to make it.
You know, it's interesting. You mentioned before, people when you're done will come up to you, and I assume they'll do it when the crowd disperses. Is there still a stigma that gets attached where they don't want to be labeled what they never thought that they could be?
Right. There's a lot of fear of being judged. You know, why aren't you working if you lost your job and you haven't been able to find something? I had one woman who came up to me. She was working in a big company. Nobody knew what we were talking about, and she said, "You know what, I was in my car for 9 months in Fairfield County because I was working consulting jobs, and one fell through, just one. And so now I'm faced with having to work to maintain the cost of living in my car. I had to pay for gas, insurance, registration, storage facility, a gym to shower in. I had to use the library for the internet." She pieced it together, and she's back on her feet, and she's living in an apartment and has a great job now. But for those 9 months, you know, she never anticipated being in that situation.
And this is a person with a college degree. Master's degree.
Yeah.
Where one of the numbers you showed me that surprised me was Greenwich, Connecticut, one of the most affluent cities in America right now. The number of people either in poverty or right on that red line here, the Alice population that you're talking about. It's bigger than people think.
Yeah, and when you look at the national poverty rates, they really don't apply for this area. I mean, it is, you can't even buy your food on the poverty rate that they have for Connecticut. It's like $11,000 for a family. It's just ridiculous,
No way.
so you can't use those numbers. And that's why we did the Alice report, to really give some context to what does it cost to live in Connecticut. We did it in 5 other states as well. United Way of Northern New Jersey and Rutgers spearheaded this a few years ago, and I think it's just going to grow.
Is there, do you see any light at the end of the tunnel, or is this really just more of a reality check that the population is a lot bigger than people wanted to maybe realize right now? How does it get better?
You know, I think there's a couple things. One is people can do things on their own every day that I think we need to feel empowered to do. You know, I know a businessman who volunteers with us. He paid the car repair of one of his employees because she was coming to work late. She was going to lose her job. Then her family would be impacted. It was better for him to pay the $400 and stop her from sliding and keep a really good worker in place. That's something that people can do if they open their eyes to see who Alice is. I think that there's a lot of programs that actually don't serve Alice. They're not poor enough. They make too much for the government programs, but not enough to get month to month. So what can we do? Utility assistance is an area that everyone can give $1 to that Operation Fuel. Food banks absolutely is an easy way for people to support Alice, because they supplement. They don't get food stamps, so they have to go to a lot of the pantries. And then there's system changes that we need to look at. Cost of living, transportation. When you think about where you're working and you're living in one of these wealthier communities, you're not working necessarily in that, you're traveling. So now you've got more expenses with your car and your travel and time away from your family. So there are things that we can put in place long term as well.
Again, it was an eye-opening report for me, Kim, and as you said, it's not just relegated to this, and there'll also be a film that'll be coming out shortly also that puts a human face on it as well, right?
Yeah, we're screening Paycheck to Paycheck in Stamford, December 8th, and then throughout the state there are other opportunities like that, film screening, to really talk about Alice, put a face on it, and really shine a light on the issue. You know, and one other thing to mention is that 211 in Connecticut and New York is available, so people can just pick up the phone, dial 211, and they can find out what they are in fact eligible for.
That's excellent. Did not know that. Kim, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Coming up next, shocking new numbers are out showing that the number of homeless youths in America is now, get this, at an all-time high. Film director Rotimi Rainwater speaks to RFL about his new documentary that takes a look at the tragic world that these kids face every day.